We're very fortunate tonight to have with us Drayvel Taylor. He's a mobility manager for the transit district here. And he's going to run through the bus system, which, as Kathleen mentioned, is free in 2023, and all the websites and apps you can use to make your ability to use it even better. So with that quick introduction, I'll turn it over to Drayvel.
All right, perfect. Thank you all for having me. As said, I'm Drayvel Taylor. I'm the mobility manager for the Douglas County region. I have a whole presentation on what a mobility manager is. Long story short, we are KDOT funded, kind of contractual positions that work with all of our transportation agencies. Increasing accessibility, efficiency, coordination, all those good things that we all need. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to send it over to screen number 2. I have 3 computer screens, so sometimes I get a little bit lost. So today we're going to talk about Lawrence Transit, how to ride the bus, but more importantly, like the technology around how to navigate the Lawrence Transit bus system. Just a preface, we are fare free for the year 2023, and that includes all of our services. So the fixed route, the Nightline, and the paratransit, which is called the T-Lift. All 3 of those services are going to be fare free for all of 2023. This is a pilot program, so we do not have insights yet as to what the fare program will look like in 2024. The University of Kansas and City of Lawrence, their transit routes are married into each other. And so you can utilize the entire system fare free, and you can use Lawrence Transit routes as well as KU routes to navigate. Let's see. So before we take off, I just want to ask a few questions of you all. Who here has actually used our Lawrence Transit system? Kathleen and Barb. All right. And then for the rest of you, whether you've ridden or not, when you think about the bus system, what kind of things come to mind? And we have a whole hour, so I can sit here and wait.
So speak up. No.
Feel free to unmute yourself and have a conversation here.
It looks like Ellen has her hand up.
All right, Ellen.
Ellen, you want to unmute?
Yeah, I was trying to answer that I had taken the bus before.
Okay.
And also, what I think about the bus system is, as an elderly person, I really want to start using it, but it's not as convenient as I would like, because the time frame and to get to the bus stop is a consideration. And I know that's impossible to meet everybody's needs, but those are just my comments.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I always think I would have to be super organized time-wise, because I'm one of those people that does not leave the office like at a scheduled moment, and I'd miss my bus and then I'd be toast for the rest of the day or something. So, that's my own fault, but that's kind of my fear, which is silly.
Mm-hmm. And then anybody else? Shelley?
I find that some of the routes that I that I'd like to have don't hook up well, so I end up like driving part way, parking and riding someplace that doesn't have good parking. But yeah.
Thank you. And then Joan?
Yes. How does that work with, can you take the regular bus with a wheelchair?
You can, yes.
Okay. Is it pretty much on time, or how much does it vary from?
All the buses usually have a 10-minute window. They usually try to keep it down to 5, but we say get to the bus stop at least 10 minutes ahead of time from their scheduled time point. And we'll cover time points and when to get on, when to arrive at your bus stop and stuff later on in the presentation. But what I think about when I think about the bus system, I think about food access, medical access, employment access. I think about independence for individuals of all ages, whether you are too young to drive a car, whether you have given up your license, or whether you just simply choose not to drive a vehicle. I think it's a great resource for so many individuals within our community that is somewhat underutilized, but we have seen ridership picking up. So part of this, I might have some of you guys download different apps onto your phone. Does everybody here have access to smartphones?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, good. And then one of the big things is that a lot of people get confused when they're trying to look at the route guide, that pamphlet with all the times on it. Does anybody here feel comfortable reading the route guide?
I kind of gave up on that and ended up, because I wasn't sure where, which routes and so forth. And I went online and used the Google Writer. I guess it's an app, but it's on my computer.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we'll go through the route guide and try to answer some questions there on how to actually read that, just in case you don't have access to your phone or you're helping somebody else navigate the system and they don't have a smartphone. So then you can circle on the route guide. So you need to catch your bus at this time and ride it to this point and jump off there. So before I get started, are there any preliminary questions or any questions that you guys received from clients or other staff or anybody from the public? No? All right, so we'll just dive on in. So today we're going to look at the Lawrence Transit website, go through that in depth. We'll look at the MyBus Lawrence app. We'll look at Transit app, and then we'll also look at the Google Trip Planner. So these are going to be your 4 key tools for navigating the bus system digitally. So the first one is Lawrence Transit's website itself. So on their website, you'll have everything like maps and schedules. You'll be able to look at their different services that they provide, just as like the fixed route, whether you need ADA paratransit. If you need service after hours, you can get the Nightline scheduled for that in advance. And then for KU students, there's KU Safe Ride. There's information for individuals on how to ride the bus, the rules, lost and found, bikes, inclement weather. There's information that's slightly relevant about fares and passes, since we're doing fare free this year, but that may become relevant again next year. And then there's a tab on upcoming projects. So currently we are working on Central Station, our new transfer station. And then with that completion will be route redesign. There's information on our electric buses. We currently have 5 of those. And I think we're getting 2 more this year and another 2 a year or 2 from now. And then there's information on bus stop improvements. We get a lot of questions about bus stop improvements. Let's see if I can get that to open. All right, can everybody see the Lawrence Transit website showing up?
Yep.
Perfect. So this is the Lawrence Transit website. It's just lawrencetransit.org. You can click the blue link on the PowerPoint to get here quickly, and then you can bookmark it for later. Everything on here is pretty easy to navigate. They try to make the website as accessible as possible. Like they're showing here that buses are fare free 2023. At the top of the page, you'll have the KU logo and the T logo for Lawrence Transit. And then under the maps and schedules, you can have routes, service calendar, trip planner, alerts, and mobile tools. So let's start over at the alerts tab. I like the alerts tab because City of Lawrence, as you know, is always under construction. And construction impacts not only drivers, but it also impacts the bus system. And so there are times when the buses will have to take an alternate route, which will close certain bus stops along that route. And so the alerts tab, that will tell you, you know, what the new direction of the bus is going to be due to construction. And so this is for Route 1. And Route 1 generally is supposed to go a slightly different direction through here. But you can see that on the checkered line is the new direction for Route 1 due to that East 23rd Street construction. I don't know if any of you guys have driven through that, but I live on the south side of it, so I have to cross it. So yes, these service alerts are really good for encountering reroutes in the transit, which can impact bus stops where you can and cannot get off or get onto the bus. So that is a really important one. So make sure that when you guys are helping people plan their trips, that they are also checking alerts to make sure that their bus is going to be on the same path that they think it usually is on. If you go to the routes button under maps and schedule, so maps and schedules, and then click routes, you will come to this page and you have 4 options on how to look at all the bus routes. So you can look at a map version. Let's see if it loads. And this will show you all the different bus routes with colors. And it'll show on the white dots all the different bus stops. If you go to the PDF guide, it will show you a PDF version of the route guide, which is that trifold that you guys have in stock at the library. And if you guys run out, let us know. We can get you some more. But this will be the route guide in digital form where you can look through and find the number for lost and found. There's all the phone numbers for customer service, T-Lift or Nightline. It has the website link. It has the email, Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff. It has a blurb about Central Station, our new transfer facility that's being constructed right now. It has information about route redesign, trip planning tools, travel training, which is a new feature that we've added this year, which is what we're doing right now. It talks about fares and talks about pretty much everything you need to navigate the bus system. Just sometimes it's a lot of information front loaded and people sometimes just don't feel like reading through every page. And that's okay. But if you click on any of these, I'm going to click on Route 1 because that's the one that runs closest to my house. You see the time schedule for Route 1. So is this big enough to see? Okay, perfect. So you see the A, B, C, and D, correct?
Yes.
I'm actually going to open it up in the PDF version and I'll zoom in for you a little bit. So you see the A, B, C, and D. And then also on the route, you see next to the library is time point D. At 15th and Haskell is time point C. 23rd and Harper is time point B. And then time point A is by the Lawrence Community Shelter. So these time points align with these numbers over here in the AM and PM. So that means at time point A, the bus will always be there by 6:08, 6:38, 7:08, 7:38. So every 30 minutes, there's going to be a bus at time point A. So I know Kathleen mentioned being worried about missing the bus and then being like, oh no, it's game over. But there is going to be a 30-minute cycle for almost all of our bus routes. There are a couple bus routes that are on an hourly schedule. So do keep that in mind for certain routes. But for most of the routes, including Route 1, they are at a 30-minute schedule. So if you're trying to plan ahead of time and figure out how long it's going to take you to get from one point to the other, it's kind of simple. So you say, if you get on the bus at 6:08 at the community shelter, you will arrive downtown at the library around 6:23. So you just look at where you're starting and where you're ending on the bus route. And that's how you can kind of calculate your time frame. You see the red dots along the route. Those are bus stops that are not time points. And so time points are places where the bus has to stop until that time hits the clock, and then they can proceed forward. In between the two time points, the bus could be at any location between those two time points. And so if you are getting on the bus in between two time points, you want to be at the bus stop by the previous time point where the bus is coming from to make sure that you are there on time. So if you're trying to catch the bus at 11th and Delaware, it's coming from time point D, which means time point D is at 6:23, 6:53. So I would try to get there at a time point D time and wait for the bus 5-10 minutes to get there to ensure that you get there in time to catch the bus. Now, reading this map can be a little confusing at times, but so do we have any questions before we move forward?
So do the drivers stop if they see somebody at a bus stop, but if not, they just keep moving on? So it's kind of a visual determination whether they're even going to stop, and that affects their time.
Correct. So they always need to stop at the time point if they are running ahead of schedule or are on schedule. If they are running behind and there's nobody at the bus stop or nobody near it, if they need to make up 30 seconds here or a minute there, they'll probably go past it without stopping if there's nobody out there. If you're trying to catch the bus and you see the bus turn the corner and you're not at the stop yet, flag them down and get to the bus stop as soon as possible. And like most of the time they'll see you and they'll try to stop and wait for you. So having those visual cues like, hey, driver, I'm over here, I'm trying to get to the bus. They're usually pretty good at stopping. And if they see a person who is a regular bus rider approaching their bus stop, but they're not quite there yet, sometimes they'll stop and wait for that person to get on. I was on Route 6, which takes you on 6th Street, and a gentleman was running a little bit late to his bus stop, which was not a time point, but the bus driver recognized him and pulled over at the bus stop and waited for him to get to the stop anyways.
This specific route just continues on a loop around and around and around?
Yes.
Okay, so and the dots are, one is northbound and one is southbound?
Yeah, so
They're on either side of the street?
yeah, so your excuse me. So your bus stops on the south side of the street and the west side of the street are going to be southbound stops. So if you get at 102, 102 is going to be a southbound bus stop because the buses open up on the right side.
Mm.
So the right side of the bus is always going to be the pickup stop. And so if you're at 235, that's a northbound stop. So you are going to be going towards the library, whereas 102 will take you towards the community shelter. And another good thing about Route 1 is that Route 1 will take you near the Humane Society, to the community shelter, And it will also take you to Just Food. So those are some very important locations for many individuals within our community, especially Just Food. Let's see. This is our service calendar. Since we are conjoined at the hip with KU, there are a couple bus routes, excuse me, that do change when KU is out of service. So on this map, the yellow are when all the routes are in service. And the blue is our B schedule, and that's when all the routes are also still in service. And then the green is when only routes 1 through 15 are in service. So that route 42 is out of service, which is a major KU route. So they take that bus route offline when KU's out of session. And then the black squares are when there's no service at all, and that's really only very few holidays and Sundays. We currently do not have Sunday service, but we are working at implementing a micro transit Sunday service so that you can call and get picked up, kind of like Uber, where people can call in and get picked up, go to church, go to the grocery store. So we're hoping to have that implemented by end of this year. Let's see, there's a how to ride under rider info on the website. We have a couple videos that we've produced, so that'll give you some instructions on how to ride. There's basic information on how to locate a bus stop, getting on and off, travel training. So that's Andy. Andy is the planner 1 for Lawrence Transit. So I work closely with her. We both do the travel trainings. We do one-on-one sessions, we do group trainings like this, and we also do ride-alongs. So if you guys do want to ride the bus after this, we can work via email to get that scheduled sometime. Another one is our projects tab. So people are always asking about bus stop improvements, or what is route redesign, or our electric buses, or when is Central Station going to open up? If you click on any of these, it will take you to the project overview, and we have tons of information. So it has the complete list of all the steps that were done to get the project up and off the ground. It has it tells who the architect and engineer firm is, who our partners were. There are videos of meetings that we've had. There's a site drawing sample, so you can actually look at the preliminary plans of what the facility is going to look like. So if you have all those kind of questions, all the information is actually here. Another big thing is our bus stop improvement program. People have lots of questions about how bus stops are chosen for improvement. Why don't we improve this bus stop over that bus stop? When is this bus stop going to get improved? And the answer is it's very complicated with the number of bus stops and with the amount of staff capacity to actually get that implemented. Right now, or at least previously, last year, we were doing, I believe, 20 to 30 improvements every year. We did a survey recently that asked about changes to the process. And so we can improve to varying levels of degree. Like, we don't have to have a covered sheltered bus stop, but it does have to be ADA compliant. So it needs to have a bench, and it has to have an area wide enough for an individual in a wheelchair to sit and be able to get to the bus without having to crawl through the grass. And so a lot of these bus stop improvements take a lot of coordination with other projects that are going on in the community. So if they're already doing easement work, concrete work, road repairs in a section, that's a good opportunity for us to tack this on, since they're already there, already doing most of that work. and get that added on. This is the bus stop by Just Food that was put in last year. I drive by that all the time and it looks amazing. So this will tell you information on how many pads we have, the shelters, benches, bike racks, and so on. And so we're not expecting to be, you know, caught up with building all the bus stop improvements for many years to come. So that's the website in general. We have a trip planner tab, which will take you to the Google Trip Planner, which we'll cover in a little bit. So before I go on to the next part of this, were there any questions about the website? No? Perfect. So the next one is the app called My Bus Lawrence. So all of you have smartphones, you indicated. So go to your Google or Apple store and just type in My Bus Lawrence, and you can begin the download process for that. I'll give you guys a few seconds to get that started. And then when I see people looking up, I'll take you through what the app and stuff looks like. All right, starting to make eye contact with people. So My Bus Lawrence provides real-time arrival information to the user, and that's City of Lawrence and the KU buses. It'll allow you to view little icons of the buses moving on the map. It can help you determine when your bus is arriving, especially if you're in between those time points. And you can choose your favorite stops. You can see the announcements. You can set alerts to remind you when your bus is coming. It has a whole bunch of different features right now. It's not the best for trip planning, where to get on and off, but it will tell you exactly where your bus is in the system. So let me click on that, and I will show you kind of what your app is going to look like when you get into it. So when you get into your app, it's going to look a little bit overwhelming. It's going to have all the bus route numbers, and they're going to be wiggling around, and you're going to have all these routes showing. So there's going to be 3 hash marks somewhere, and you can tap those to go to your options, and it'll allow you, it'll say something about routes. And so you go to your routes and you can click show none. And then from there, you can turn on specific routes. So per se, let's turn on route 6 and let's turn on route 1, and then click save. And once you click save, you go back to your main screen and it'll show you route 1 and route 5. And so right now, there is a route 1 bus right outside your guys' door. And there's another route 1 bus at the East Lawrence Business Park area. There is a route 5 bus outside your guys' door. Route 6, my apologies. And there's another route 6 bus all the way at LMH West right now. And so if you're using this app to try to figure out where your bus is in relation to where you are, this is one of the best tools we currently have for that. So if you're waiting over here at bus stop 239, waiting for the 6 bus, you know that it's over here at the hospital and that you have a few minutes to wait before it gets to you. There is an announcements tab in the app, just like on the website. And so that will tell you which bus routes are being affected by things outside of the transit system's control, such as mostly construction. It's almost always construction that impacts a bus route. And then in your app, if you click on any of the bus stops themselves, you should be able to put a little heart. There should be a heart right in this area on your app that will allow you to like favorite that bus stop. And so that'll just help you remember when to get off or on the bus, or when the bus is getting close to your location. So this is My Bus Lawrence. It is it's a work in progress. It may not be used past this or next year. We are currently getting funding to do some tech improvements. And so on our next app that I'm going to show you, it will, this type of real-time tracking will be integrated into a different app that is used kind of nationwide right now by lots of communities, so over 200 communities. But before we continue, are there any other questions about My Bus Lawrence? No. It is a really intuitive app if you're just trying to figure out where your bus is in relation to you, or trying to figure out how much time is left before the bus gets to your destination. So those are the main uses for that app at the moment. The next app, it's called Transit. So if you guys have a second, download the Transit app. I'll give you guys a minute to do that. And the good thing about Transit app is it is a very good trip planning app that does offer you guys step-by-step directions. It can handle everything from fares to tickets, digital payments. It shows all the different modes of transportation within your region that partner with Transit app. So if you have a bike share or scooter share program in your community, it'll show that. If there's ride hailing like Uber and Lyft, it'll show that as well. And it'll also show your fixed route service if your fixed route service is working with Transit. We currently are working with Transit to get the real-time location of the buses onto the app. We just received our funding from the state to do that. So we're hoping to have that done end of this year or relatively early next year, but no promises because, you know, things always happen. But like I said, this is used by over 200 other communities. So if you're in Kansas City, you can use the Transit app in Kansas City also. So lots of communities with fixed route services are using Transit app because it's so easy to integrate the information into it, and you don't need to download a second app every time you go to a new place. So that's one of the big perks of using Transit app. I don't have a mobile or a web version of Transit app, so it's only the version on your phones. But using Transit app, you can just type in your desired destination and it will tell you when to leave your house, how far to walk, how long it's going to take you to walk to your bus stop, which bus to get onto, how long to stay on the bus approximately. It'll tell you what bus stop to get off at. And then it'll tell you how far you have to walk from getting off the bus to your end destination. So for trip planning, Transit app is a very good tool, and it will have that real-time tracking of the buses in the future. Any questions before I go to the next one?
Oh, this is amazing. It's kind of just floors me.
Yeah, and with apps like these apps are very, very simple to use. It does take a little bit of getting used to. There is a small learning curve, but if you take, 10 minutes of your time and just play around the app, look at all the options and features, you can become a whiz at it pretty quick.
Yeah, it doesn't take, it only takes a second to set your home and then you go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
great.
So you guys can use the app for your trip planning for personal use. I know if you have any clients that need transportation or are confused about riding the bus, you can get on a transit app and you can tell them, well, you should probably take this route and stay on it for this long. And the app will really walk them through. You guys can help them download the apps if they have a smartphone. And besides that, it's really talking to the bus driver to ask questions because the bus drivers are all really nice and they ride that route back and forth for many, many hours every day. So they know all the stops like the back of their hand. The last piece of technology I wanted to look at is Google Trip Planner. Google Trip Planner looks very similar to Transit app. It's very easy to use, but especially on your laptop or computer. It also has step-by-step directions. It displays the bus numbers and the routes. It tells you your approximate travel time as well. And with this link on here, you can actually click on the link that I put as Google Trip Planner on the slide. So if you click on Google Trip Planner on the PowerPoint, and I'll send this out to you guys, I have it preset to Lawrence Public Library as your starting destination. And so all you have to do here is click the end destination. So let's say we want to go to Hy-Vee. And then boom, it tells you all the different ways on how you can get to Hy-Vee. So for this, it says, let's see, you leave now, you get onto bus route 10, which is this brown one, and you ride it all the way until, let's see, let's open up our details. Until bus stop 288 at Bob Billings and Westbrook, which is right here. And from there, you get off the bus and you wait for route 12, which is this pink line here. And you ride it all the way south until you hit bus stop 270 at Castle and 22nd Street. And you pull the cord a little bit beforehand, and the bus driver will stop at this bus stop, and then you get on off. And it tells you the amount of time it's going to take, and it tells you the frequency of the bus here. So here it says that this is a 30-minute route, so the bus will pick you up there every 30 minutes.
Dre,
Yes.
you call that Google Trip Planner. Was that an app or was that something else? It looks like Google Maps.
Yeah, it's we call it Google Trip Planner for just so people understand, like, this is how you can plan your trips. But this is just a normal feature of Google Maps.
Google Maps, okay.
Okay, so you just hit the icon for bus
Yes.
on that, like you would for your car, but instead of hitting car, you hit the bus.
Okay,
Correct.
Okay, yeah.
yeah, because I was looking for an app too, but it's not. It's
I
just
was,
part of
yeah,
Google
I've
Maps.
used Google for walking and for buses and for whatever in a lot of cities, and it was a little complicated. So yeah, if you just go to your regular Google Maps, and
Correct.
there's options to walk, there's options to take a bus, there's options to fly, and there's options to drive. So you would hit the bus one, and then you're good to go.
Correct.
But
And-
don't you have to put an address or something in first? Because I don't see the bus when I just open up Google Maps.
Yes, you'll have to put in an address, a destination of where you want to arrive. And then when you click directions or start, then directions, then it'll allow you to change it over to a different mode of transportation.
Okay, there it is. Okay, got it. Thank
Sorry.
you.
And so through our website, we just have it under the trip planner tab because we skipped those steps for you guys. We pre-programmed it in there. And so all you have to do is click on, save that link on your computer at least, and it'll automatically default to using the bus.
So if we just use My Bus Lawrence, that will take us to Google Maps for the bus for our area. automatically, correct?
If you go
Did
to,
I,
if you go
did I
to,
say that correctly?
nope, if you go to the trip planner tool on the website,
I mean, on the website, yes.
correct.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Do trip planner, it'll take you directly to Google Maps, where it's already preset for the bus system, and you just choose your end destination.
Unusually, I have not used that here at all, but I have used Google Maps Bus for other cities I visited as a tourist, and it works great.
Yes. I've enjoyed it for my trips to Chicago and to Austin.
Yeah.
But a lot of major cities are switching to transit app. Let's see, they have a whole list of the communities. So within the United States, all these various communities are using transit app. So Lawrence isn't explicitly listed here because we don't have the real-time capabilities enabled right now, but that's the part that we're working on. But it does mention Kansas City. Where'd you go? So Kansas City is mentioned here. That's one of the places that they use it. So whether you're going to Houston, Hawaii, South Bend, Springfield, just having one app to get you from point A to point B, whatever you're doing, it's really nice to have just the one app, so you don't need to switch and download a very specific app. That was one of the things that annoyed me about the bike sharing in Austin, is that you had to download a specific app and set up your account and set up your credit card or debit card payment processing to use their bike share. But with transit, everything's all in one app, and so it transfers very nicely from city to city. So that's all I have as far as technology for the transit system. Those are all the different apps and software and things that we use. And so if we have any questions or would like to see anything in more depth, now's the time.
Dre, when is the changes going to take place for the routes? Right now, I mean, we're retired now, and we're thinking about starting to use the bus more. We're on Castle, but I
Mhm.
understand that route's going to change, and it's not going to come down Castle anymore.
Right, so for up-to-date information on Central Station, under that projects tab on our website, we have Central Station and route redesign.
Okay.
So the status is it's in progress and the timeline is posted here. So we are looking at Q3 of this year for the project end date, and that's assuming that there are no delays in construction or any other unforeseen delays. So at Bob Billings and Crestline is the location of that new facility. I've driven past there and they're already doing dirt work. So that's good. We're reusing the existing 1.5 warehouse buildings over there, and those are getting gutted and remodeled in the interior. And so on the exterior, there's going to be a ton of concrete work to create the bus pad and the waiting station. There's going to be an indoor bicycle location, so you can store your bikes indoors if you need to bike to Central Station and then take your bus to work or whatever, and then come back later on. So there's all kinds of visuals at the bottom of the page of what everything is going to look like. There's a 3D rendering.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. And then if you have questions about route redesign, there's a route redesign tab. And so that's not projected to kick off until after everything with construction is finalized. And so once construction is finalized, there will be some significant changes to all the routes. And we are preparing to we're preparing for an influx of travel training requests after that kicks in.
There is a question in the chat, Dre. How long in advance do you need to request paratransit? And what are the criteria to use it?
That's a good question. So let's see, let me go to services and accessibility. And so this is going to be where the T-Lift information is. So that's the paratransit bus. It's called the T-Lift. The T-Lift, there is an application process, and there is a Part A and Part B. Part A is the applicant, and then Part B is a qualified professional, whether that be a doctor, a therapist, physical therapist, etc. And so Part B is the part that really slows down the process a lot of times, is that the applicant will get their part done, but then they have to wait for their doctor to finish. Paratransit is designed for individuals who cannot, due to certain circumstances, utilize the fixed route service to get to their desired destination. So some medications that individuals take prevent them from being outdoors in extreme temperatures. And we are in Kansas, so we have extreme hots and we have extreme colds. Some medications make it so you cannot tolerate extreme hots for any real duration of time. So that would be a barrier. Simply being in a wheelchair or crutches would probably not qualify you for paratransit, because all of our normal fixed route buses are ADA accessible. And they have capacity to fit multiple individuals in wheelchairs at the same time. All of our bus drivers are trained on how to properly secure an individual in a wheelchair, and all of our buses are equipped with lifts and or ramps. After the office does receive a completed T-Lift application, they have up to 21 days to process it. In that 21-day period, they may need to follow up with your medical or your qualified professional, look at whether there are other options, look at their capacity to serve, whatever have you. So that's an internal process that does have a delay. But once that is all finalized and approved, you should probably call in as early as possible. We are in a situation where the Senior Resource Center, Independence Inc., and the T-Lift are all experiencing very high demand. So you can call, if you can call a week in advance to schedule your ride, I would recommend it. If not, it's always worth a call just to see if they have capacity to fit you in.
Did that answer everything you needed, Ellen? If you want to unmute.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
good,
Good.
good. Okay, any other questions? I will remind everybody that tonight's, there was a lot of information tonight,
Yeah.
and it is being recorded, and it'll be up on the library YouTube site in the next couple of days. We'll take care of that starting tonight to get that process going. And that'll give you a chance to kind of review anything you need to, if you had trouble keeping up with finding the sites and the apps on your phone.
Is there any after bus hours transportation options other than, I know like KU has Safe Ride and that sort of thing?
So we have what's called Nightline. So our regular fixed route serves or operates from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. approximately, depending on the route. The last bus stop might be like 7:38, 7:45, but generally it's the 6 to 8 time frame. But Nightline operates from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Monday through Saturday. On Saturdays, I do believe they cut off at midnight because we don't operate on Sundays. So after midnight on Saturdays, it's no go. But with that, there is no criteria, like qualification criteria like the T-Lift. You do need to call up and set up a profile with Transit first, though. But after that, you call in advance and schedule your ride. I believe you can schedule 1 week at a time. So I have a friend who takes the bus to get to work, and they work evening/nights. So they often get off at around, midnight or 1 o'clock sometimes. And so they pick him up right in front of his place of work, and they drop him off right in front of his house.
Oh, is there a fee for that?
Nope, all of the services right now are fare free.
Wow. Yeah,
for-
I've had friends that there's Amtrak service and it gets in at, midnight or after sometimes. And I've heard that is an option, but I didn't know what it was called. So thank you.
Yes. So the only thing is you do have to schedule in advance.
Okay.
And so with any form of public transportation or mass transportation, like, the train or an
Right.
airplane, there are going to be, delays and stuff that are unaccounted for. So as long as they're comfortable or confident enough to schedule the ride for pickup and are possibly comfortable waiting around, this would be a good option for them. For people who work a normal schedule, this is a good option for them to still be able to work their schedules at night, and if they don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, that's great.
Are the free fares planned to be permanently, or is that a temporary thing?
The Fare Free is a 1-year pilot program, and towards the end of this year, we'll be re-examining and determining whether or not it's something that can be sustained long-term. Some of the funding that we obtained for this may not be perpetual. And so it'll be a question for the community and elected officials to answer whether Fare Free is in the best interest of our community.
By the way, as far as I noticed, when I've used Google Trip Planner, it did not let me know that the Nightline was a possibility. Because I think I was looking for I think I was trying to look for a trip back and forth from a performance at the Lead Center, and of course it was over well after 8. So
Yeah,
I ended up driving.
Yeah, with Nightline, it is a demand service, so it is something you have to schedule ahead of time. So it's not like fixed route where, I don't want to get too technical, but there's back end data that we submit to Google, and they're able to process that and show the routes. But with Nightline, there's not a fixed route. It's all based off of requests. And so it's not something that they would be able to integrate onto their system.
But you now know when you buy your tickets, you could plan for that and schedule a Nightline back and have it all ready for you when you're ready to go,
Right.
which is kind of cool.
Are the night lines, are they ride share where we would be riding with other people?
Yes. We did a travel training for a senior living community here in town, and they had the question of whether they could go as a group, taking the fixed route bus during the day towards the evening to a location and then get picked up a couple hours later. And the answer is yes, you can. Just every individual who's going to be riding the bus the Nightline needs to have a profile with the transit system in advance. And so you can say, I'm going to have 8 people being picked up at this location, and they can get that worked in sometimes. So as early as you can schedule that, the better.
Any other questions, anyone? Well, we are getting near the end of the hour, so I will remind everybody that we will have this on YouTube, library YouTube shortly. And I wanted to thank Dravel. Please unmute if you'd like and give a round of
Yay.
applause for a job
Great
well
job.
done with a pretty,
That's awesome.
pretty complicated thing done in just an hour. Answered a lot of everybody's questions. And, the transit services, I'm sure there if needed for questions. And as I said, we'll have this back up. So hopefully this was an interesting diversion from our normal tech session, but I think really worthwhile.
Agreed.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And if you have any follow-up questions, definitely send me an email and I'll answer them as soon as I can.
Great. We'll provide that to all of you. So thanks a bunch. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go K-State.
Yes. Go K-State.